a song for you.
You're listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I will do one episode for each song the band recorded in the studio. However, this is a fan podcast and not band endorsed. It's more of a tribute to their long history, well beyond just the hits, and my way of giving something back to a band that has given so much to me. Let's dig in! Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. This is Season 10, Episode 9, our final track on Stormbringer, Soldier of Fortune. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and we're going to be going through this song piece by piece. Got some good memories associated to this one. Boy, I've listened to this song a lot over the years, and obviously a favorite of David Coverdale's, as well as he's performed it many times with Whitesnake. Killer track. We're going to get into it piece by piece. A lot of people talk about Mistreated being one of David's greatest vocals, and I would absolutely agree with that. I think this is a great companion to Mistreated, because in Mistreated, we're getting power, we're getting emotion. Here, we're getting gentleness and we're getting emotion. And I think those two songs pair really well together. I've never, listened to them back to back. But I think if you're looking at contrast or, showcasing, I would put these on a David Coverdale playlist easily. And I think they would go well together to show his range a little bit, and then you throw in a Hot Stuff or a Guilty of Love or something like that and kind of round things out a little bit. Maybe a North Winds would be good. But, and of course, what David Coverdale playlist would I make without Only My Soul? Absolutely love that track. For me, personally, one of the greatest songs ever written. Love it, love it, love it. Was just listening to that yesterday as I was out walking, and it was pretty overcast. And I was like, man, what a perfect time to listen to Snakebite. So I have that one on my phone and just pulled it up. I have the wireless Skull Candy earbuds, the Jib Plus, which I highly recommend. They're excellent. In fact, I just got a transmitter for like $9 on Amazon to plug into my record player, so I could actually transmit that to the earbuds and can walk around and listen to music while I'm cleaning or arranging or getting an eBay package ready or doing all the things and not have to be tethered to the stereo. So that's pretty cool. And then I thought, oh, you know what though? I could also do this with my computer or my iPod, so I don't have to put it in my pocket while I'm, going around the house. Pretty cool idea. I do have to say, as much as I miss certain things about where we were in a technological state in the 80s, I do appreciate a lot of the opportunities we have with the tech of the world that we live in today. I just recently interviewed Allison Arngrim for the Haskincast podcast, who played Nellie Olson on Little House on the Prairie. She was on The Love Boat. She did game shows. She did a lot of stuff, continues to do lots of stuff to this day. She's incredibly busy, one of the hardest working people I know. And, I was thinking about those days, like they were probably like, we have these amazing things where we can churn our own butter, and they couldn't buy a bag of ice because where would you store it? You didn't have refrigerators or freezers or anything, like there was no electricity. So, but thinking like in their terms, they were probably thinking, wow, we've got running water or, we've got this pump or like however they did things. They probably thought, as far as technology goes, they probably felt that they lived in the best times in history because that was as advanced as it would get at that point. And then I look at where we are today, 100 plus years later. And I think about where we've come just from my childhood, growing up in the 70s and the 80s, to where we are today in 2025. And I think, man, technology has just come so far. And I appreciate the fact that when I used to dream of having a computer and got my first one, a Texas Instruments TI-99 4A, because they had discontinued the line, so they were blowing them out really cheap. And that's how I got my first computer for Christmas. And I think about how cool that was. And then I look at it now and I'm like, My cell phone is probably a 20th of the size of a Texas Instruments computer, and it can do so much more. And granted, it's far more expensive because I think those were like $100 or $50 when they were blowing them out, which was insane for 1983 or whatever year it was. And I remember getting, these programming books where it would give you like little games you could program into the computer in basic language, and it gave you the whole code. So you sat there and you typed it all in, or you had somebody read it to you, and then you'd play your game, or you could program, graphics on a square. They were called G-chars, if I remember right. And it was basically like a square, and you're putting pixels on it. There's only so many, and then you would draw like little characters on graph paper, figure out what the code would be, and then put that into your computer and create the character in the computer. And it was like the coolest thing in the world. And now it's like, I would never waste my time doing that. But at the time, that was like great technology. Being able to save a game on a cassette and load that into your computer was great technology. So what I love about this song is getting back to basics. It's not utilizing great production to make the song sound great, although the production's fine on it. It isn't about using synths and cool new sounds and stuff. This is a very straightforward, very simple song that just has an elegance in the simplicity of it. And as much as I love the world I live in today, I long for this kind of stuff sometimes. I long for the days when I could just take, I could go grocery shopping. For example, when I was a kid with my mom, and she and my brother would go into the store, my dad and I would stay in the car, and all I had was a notebook. And I would draw things, I would write little stories, I would, while we listened to a ball game or whatever on the radio. And I would just completely entertain myself with a notebook and a pencil, or like I had a mechanical pencil at the time. And so I was always afraid of just running out of lead and then not being able to use it. So I had a mechanical pencil, an extra little case of leads, and a trapper keeper, because you got to put all that stuff somewhere. That they had that cool, plastic pouch where you could put your pens and pencils and erasers and all that good stuff. But I sometimes long for that simplicity, and I kind of argue back and forth with myself between, is it because of the time, or is it because of like where I was at in my life? I was a kid. I didn't have to work. I didn't have to pay bills. If I wanted something, I just, mowed lawns or, whatever I needed to do to save up some money and get it. I had no real responsibility other than just going to school and enjoying life. And I sometimes miss that. I miss that simplicity. So when I think about a song like Soldier of Fortune, I think that's one of the levels that I really appreciated on just the ability to enjoy something that's not a huge production, all hyped up, not a lot of layers, just good old songwriting, great honest performance, and just getting down to the nitty gritty of it. So let's get into the song. I argue one of David Coverdale's greatest performances. Love Richie on this one. It's not very often you get this kind of Richie before Blackmore's Night, but I think certainly you can see some early tones of Blackmore's Night in this song. So here it is by Deep Purple, Soldier of Fortune. Ooh, I sounded like Kicking Harold right there. Oh, that emotion that we're getting from Richie doing a little bit of a solo right on the beginning of the song. He's doing a nice little rhythm underneath of that, very simple. And then we've got this just chord from John Lord playing in the background. And I love that. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the way he sounded on the Come and Get It album, or maybe Slide It In a little bit. Just providing a little thickness so that it's not just the sound of the guitar. We're getting a little more full sound without it being big, just kind of filling in the gaps a little bit. And it is a great combination. Then we get that big breath from David Coverdale because he's about to get sorrowful. And I love that they leave those in on this album.
I have often told you stories about the way I lived a life of a drifter, waiting for the day when I take your hand and sing you songs, and maybe you would say, come lay with me and love me, and I would surely stay.
He's singing with such emotion. It's hard not to believe that this isn't a real story, that this isn't something he's living right now in this moment. And that is the true gift of a great singer, is somebody who can make you believe what they're telling you about. And especially in a song like this, he's living it, he's in the middle of it in the story. But boy, you just feel like this is such a real thing. And maybe he goes someplace in his head as kind of a character actor when he's singing, so that he does have that level of believability. But I mean, at points he's singing, not much above a whisper here. And it's so powerful in its lacking of power. Excellent. And now we're just starting to get drums. We're going to get a little bit of bass in the song. But up to this point, it's just been David, Richie, and John. This was actually the first song that I ever transcribed, be it, I'm sure, horribly by somebody who actually knows how to properly write drum music on staff paper. I know how to write it so that I can understand it. I'm pretty sure if someone was listening to the song and following along, they'd be like, oh, okay, I get what you're doing here. But as far as any scholarly accuracy, I'm sure it was far beyond what's reasonable. And I remember really wanting to transcribe Fools. That was the big thing for me. But I was like, I'm not starting with that. I need to start with something simple. And Soldier of Fortune seemed to be probably the best Deep Purple choice to be able to do that. The fills are very simple. It's a slow enough tempo where you aren't going to strain to hear anything. And it seemed like the way to go. So although I no longer have any of those papers, I can picture them in my head. I actually did this on one page. And yeah, that was a fun exercise.
But I feel I'm growing older, and the songs that I have sung echo in the distance like the sound of a wheel going round. I guess I'll always be a soldier of fortune.
There's barely a melody. It's more like everybody's just kind of laying down tones for David to sing over so that they're not too distracting. They don't really need to be busy. Just really something simple to provide him a stage to sing on, if you will. I do think it's interesting. And now that I'm hearing this way, I know that my transcript is, I mean, I said it was wrong, but boy, now that I'm hearing this, it's definitely wrong. I was not putting in these double bass drum hits everywhere. I thought he was just doing in a couple of spots where the sound is coming through a little more prominent, but he's actually doing them all over again. It's not bum, bum, it's bum, bum. I like those simple double hits. They're really cool. Very tight with Glenn on this one. Glenn's really backing off. He's playing the root of it all, just to, again, they're just really giving a foundation or a bed for the lyrics. I think those are some good choices here. So we're getting three fantastic guitar tracks here. We're obviously getting the lead in the solo, and we're getting the harmony track, but he's also playing the little bit of melodic rhythm underneath of that, just some very simple notes to add a little motion to the song. And it works out really, really well. Everyone else just kind of laying back and supporting, which is definitely the right thing to do for a song like this. You don't really need to come out forward. You don't need to overshadow anybody. Just be part of the song. And they knew what they were doing on this one for sure. But I love the solo. I love the feel of it. It's just this beautiful slide solo that it just feels so natural and it makes sense and it's very comfortable. There's nothing shocking in it that takes me out of the moment. No, bizarre trill or heavy distortion or anything where I'm like, whoa, I'm out of the song now. It's played very much for the purpose of the song. Ian Pace, known not to be a big fan of this song, didn't have any interest in doing it live. The song didn't interest him. There wasn't really much for him to do in it, which I suppose that might be why we get those double bass drum hits, just so he can kind of make it a little bit interesting for himself. I think it does work for the song, though. So I thought I'd take a quick look at setlist.fm, and it looks like they did play the song 6 times, and that would be in 1975. So very few performances, certainly made sense. However, 49 bands have covered it. And a great array of them seem to be probably Deep Purple cover bands or just cover bands in general. Because, obviously we've got Whitesnake's going to do it. Blackmore's Night's going to do it. John Lord's going to do it on his solo tours. But then we have bands like Purple Rising, Purple Days Project, Rainbow Rising. Rainbow covered it. Blackmore's Blood, a band called Perpendicular, which is a band that ironically Ian Pace plays with. I don't know if he's their only drummer or if he just fills in when he's available, but that's kind of his band. Ronnie Romero and Gus G. Ronnie Romero, of course, the last vocalist to perform with Rainbow, did a couple studio songs, but not an album. We've got Snakebite, Saints and Sinners, Purpleized, Purple Heap, Elements, which might be related to the Roger Glover album Elements. We've got Deep Purple in rock. We've got Doogie White on his solo tour, band called Stormbringer. So lots of Deep Purple related bands are covering this song. It's a great song to cover, so why wouldn't you?
Many times I've been a traveler, look for something new. In days of old, when nights were cold, I wandered without you. Those days I thought my eyes had seen you standing near. Though blindness is confusing, it shows that you're not here.
I love that gentle, slow double cymbal hit there. That's really powerful. But man, what a vocal from David here. Just so intense and so rich in emotion. Really don't know what more I can say about that, except that it is impressive. And we've got Glenn stepping up on bass a little bit, not overplaying or overshadowing the song, just adding a little more flavor to it. I think he found a really good balance for this.
Now I feel I'm growing older, and the songs that I have sung echo in the distance, like the sound of a windmill going round. Guess I'll always be a soldier of fortune.
I really like the way they let that just kind of hang in the air after the word round. They just give it a little bit of space. They're not trying to fill in everything. It's a great, I don't want to say trick, because I feel like it was just very natural, but it certainly has an impact.
I could hear the sound of a windmill going round. Guess I'll always be a soldier of fortune. Guess I'll always be a soldier of fortune.
Yeah, beautiful playing on the cymbal tops with the head of the stick there by Ian Pace. I like the way that ends. I like that they're not 100% together on those accents too, which is really nice. Again, just showing that human side. They're very close, but there's just slight difference there. But also, David, I like the way that he pushes that last, I can hear the sound of a windmill going around. That's really got a good punch, the last chance he'll get at the end of the song here, and then he just ends it on that same somber gentleness that I really love about this song. I mean, it's what really makes the song for me. But not to add controversy saying that there's a flute in this song, just like Born Again, although I did find the flute in that. There is a flute sound that we actually hear in that last pass where he goes, I can hear the sound, that part. There is a flute sound. I'm guessing that is John Lord. I've seen nothing about them actually hiring a flute player or using a flute on the song, but it does have, somewhat of a reminiscent flute sound. It's very brief, but it adds just a nice little touch. And sometimes just coming in at the end and adding one thing that doesn't take you out of the context of the song. Like if he were to just put in a big synthesizer stab, that would be ridiculous. But this is just a nice little tone that's blended in there, and could very much be I can't think of what it's called now. Ken Hensley used it a lot, really popular thing. It's just not coming to me. But it's very, very common instrument. King Crimson used it on In the Court of the Crimson King. But in any case, yeah, it could be something like that. But in any case, it just sounds lovely and wonderful. And then we just end with this gentle ending that kind of fades out. But it doesn't feel like it fades and keeps going. It just kind of like the song ends and fades out, which I like. It's a great way to end the album. Kind of weird to think that we're all the way through Stormbringer already. I just started the show in January, and I mean, I know it's we're getting into July now, but man, the time has just gone so fast. So many episodes. I mean, this is episode 92 already. I still got a couple of the guest episodes to go ahead and record, but man, it's flying by. But it's really been fun digging into all of these songs. Before I go, for any of you who are interested, I actually have a little story about the song. Completely weird and random, I know. But everybody kept talking about Britain's Got Talent and what a great show it is and how much better it is than American Idol and all this. And I never really watched American Idol. I just, over the years, I've kind of fallen out with TV, not for any reason other than I just have other things of interest that I'd rather trade my time for. But I got curious, so I watched some clips. Didn't know who all the judges were, so I got to learn about some of them and different people popping in and out. But when you expose yourself to something and kind of intensely, if it's like they say, if it's the last thing that you do before you go to sleep, you'll have your first dream will be about that. And for some reason, I had a dream that I was a contestant on Britain's Got Talent, which makes absolutely no sense. One, because I'm not a singer. Two, because I don't live in England. My passport expired a decade ago because I don't travel. So there was really no reason to renew it. Although I just got invited to Scotland, which would be interesting to see. So anyway, so I have this really random dream that I am a contestant, and I don't even care about getting on the show. I don't care about winning. I don't even care about passing the audition. The only thing I care about in my dream is singing Soldier of Fortune to Cheryl Cole directly and make her fall in love with me. And in the dream, it went pretty well. I sang the song. She was wowed, eyes locked on each other. You could feel that connection. And then I woke up going, that sucks that it was just a dream, because that would have been pretty cool. But in reality, there's no way I would have ever sung it that well. My singing voice is not that good these days. But it was kind of a neat thing. And of all the songs that I could have picked to connect with somebody, I think that's kind of the thing. Like, hey, I'm, I've seen some shit. I'm a little bit lonely. I'm looking for somebody to take that away. Why don't you come with me? That kind of intention in the dream. And I don't know if that would work in real life, but I imagine if I had David Coverdale's voice, it might. But with my squirrely little singy voice, I don't think so. But it was a nice dream anyway. And so that is that, guys. That is a wrap on Stormbringer on season 10. We will be back tomorrow. If I've scheduled this all out right, this should be Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow to begin our journey on season 11, Come Taste the Band. And we're opening with the opening track, Coming Home. And an interesting clip from John Lord So this should be a lot of fun. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. Thank you for all your likes and shares. Please remember to rate and review this on Apple Podcasts. That seems to be the most important place to do such things. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Cheers. Wait, Mellotron. That's what it is. That's what I was trying to think of for all of you guys who were shouting at your podcast player that I couldn't remember the name. Mellotron. It's Mellotron. Thanks for listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast, a tour of the entire Deep Purple studio recordings. Please remember to give the show a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Leave a comment and tell your friends. I also have a Patreon set up if you'd like to support the show. You can also write to me at smokeonthepodcast@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed the episode and thanks for listening.